Everybody, I'm Professor Lee again. Now I start the second part of my lecture. The basic approach to port planning usually starts with aggregation of the defined port planning objectives in line, which largely depend on port functions. If a port development is needed to meet projected requirement, then a detailed port planning is necessary. In this lecture, short description of port development history with a change of ship and port facilities. In order to figure out the port facilities necessary, the general trend of shipbuilding, port development trend introduced. After that, a port site investigation will be discussed for port planning and decision. This is port development history. I'm not going to make the deep discussion on this. However, the port past, present, and future, it starts with the sail steamship in early days, 1880 late. The port size only is small, only service for the small ships. In 1900, cargo gear used to be on board like this, and late it changed to the shore crane, cargo handling crane, instead of the ship. The reason why is as a possible, it carries more cargoes, deleting the ship crane. During World War II, innovations of cargo handling gear appeared, a forklift, ferret. Then the realization of the cargo packing was shown at the time, and after World War II, ISO International Standard Organization made the standard of the packing pallet, and there used to be the space, dead space on the ship or the storage area shoreside. By adopting the standard of the pallet, is a lot of dead space disappeared. Anyway, the history of 1950s, the container ship appeared. At the time, the start of the container ship, always the container was a lift-off based cargo handling work were applied. In 1975, roll-up container ship appeared. That means that the container ship used to have a lamp, and then the driver drives the container tractors or other vehicles passing through the lamp. By doing that, the speed is very high, and for that reason, port design concept changes tremendously in terms of speed, standardization, large volume. So later on, the port innovation used to the automation of cargo handling and the port system, and also the ship is going to be bigger and bigger. And then the deep draft ship appears since then. So the modernization of the port and terminal are necessary to service for the larger ships, especially the tankers. VLCC and ULCC appeared. All of liquid cargo were transported by the very huge carriers. Gas ships, LNG, LPG, other chemicals, all the liquid cargo vessels comes bigger and bigger, and deep draft ship appears. Therefore, in order to serve these large ships, it is necessary to dredge the port waterway or the turning basin, and also berthing area to have a ship moored. Depending on the ship size, nowadays about 16 meters to 20 meters deep draft vessels are coming for the modernized port terminals. So without making innovation to the port. It lose a lot of chance cargo handlings from the other countries. Therefore, port development are necessary. Now, I'm going to make a summary of the port development history. I really made it short because of time limit. Let's talk about the factors affect to the growth of port. In general factors is increase of ocean trade. The navigation technology is advanced, and there are lots of different routes was developed, and also the population. Then lots of resources are developed, and also most of the countries, especially developed countries, want those resources. So the increase of ocean trade may impact to the port development. And the global population increase. This increase cause increase of the commodity demand, numbers, and to carry out these commodities, the size of ships getting bigger and bigger. And also development of general industry. This means the import-export rapidly increase. So mass production, mass consumption, it drives the general industries. So therefore, in order to supply and receive all the materials and goods through the port, it is necessary to renovate the port area. What other factors? Increase of oil industry brings a lot of tankers to distribute energy to foreign countries. But oil shock makes some difficulties, the increase of the larger ships. And then the trends of the port follows the trends of the ship development. So special ship comes, for example, tankers, gas ships, or containers. In this case, we need a specialized port, or specialized ship, deep drop the ship, and in order to split out the traffic jam between zone with the different commodities, cargoes, then we have to separate. We call that the zoning program, zoning plan at the port. And also after World War II, modernized the port and renovation made. So container ship is the main function to modernize port. So the size of container strong impact to the capacity of the port nowadays. Besides that, the port design, port technology is developed very rapidly, and then the construction industries and technologies also jumped, especially some place where in old days it is not possible to construct a port under the rough sea conditions, but the nature environment condition is not serious nowadays. Technology engineering study covers all the negative environment impact nowadays. The serious one is economic stability of each country. So a stable country may have a steady growth of the economy. So it drives port development, and then the world trade also. So let's look at the shipping trends. There are the threats and opportunities. What is a threat? The future shipping industry rely on the world economy, booming or recession, hub port or feeder port, the location of the port, each country. Then which alliance, shipping alliance belongs to. So in big shipping alliance, your country located or your shipping industry assigned to the big shipping alliance, then no problem. Let's discuss about the Hanjin Shipping Korea, HMM Hyundai. Then we had a problem with the Hanjin shipping. It disappeared nowadays. And then it gives a very hard time. And then, however, recently instead of Hanjin, HMM belongs to the alliance. And then the HMM have a 24,000 TEU container ships, new container ships delivered this year. So the HMM has a strong connection with the alliance. So it's okay. But the trends is very important in the shipping industry now. So the world economy recession caused by COVID-19 pandemic, this pandemic recovery soon or not, we are doubting within a couple of years. This strongly impact to the world economy, and then it will reduce the chance of the port development. And each country, there are the decrease of the government investment to the port project. In early 2009, the budget came shrinking and shrinking. We don't know this year or next year yet. However, it might be another chance. Sustainability and persistent prospect of the rise of oil tanker and LNG freight rates is increasing slightly. The key role of economic development is economic port infrastructure and technology development. But we already have a advancement of in terms of this technology. So world-class technology for engineering, construction, management, and port automation, etc. This will be another chance to have a economy increase of each country's. Korean case, we have abundant experience on construction and operation of Busan New Port and the port redevelopment, together with the collaboration with the developing countries in terms of training and education, such as International Port Export Workshop. It was done by the support of Ministry of Ocean and Fisheries of Korean government, KOICA, intermediate, also the Port Authority, etc. What about the shipbuilding trend? Those ships are getting bigger and bigger. It's recently the container ship and the gas product. So the strong for the shipping industries, and then we have to keep track on the size of the container ship or the size of the liquid cargo carriers, etc. Let's look at the containers, the size. A couple of years ago, the shipbuilding company, together with the cargo handling, the cargo handling company, they expect that in order to get the profit from the operation of the ship and this economy situation, world economy situation, the size of the ship will be bigger and bigger. So 2020, 24,000 TEU containers appeared. We don't know the 30,000 TEU container will appear after 10 years or within 5 years. Nobody knows about that, but the ship speed with respect to the bunker cost and the slot cost, if the ship size is getting bigger and bigger, the cost will be down. So instead of driving a small size of carriers, most of the shipping company or the cargo owners, they want to bigger size of the vessels instead of use small size. But anyway, those are the shipbuilding trends. If the big ship size is bigger and bigger, what happened then? And then in order to build big ship, significant financial and operation cost goes to shipping industry. And then in order to cope with this trend, port also need renovation to the port structures. So higher capital requirement and higher operating cost both makes the increase of the construction cost. Let's look at the shipbuilding trend. As I mentioned, that the 24,000 TEU containers already ongoing. It's in service now. We don't know the 30,000 metric tons after 10 years. It will appear or not, depending on economy situation, world economy situation. We expect that after the Corona crisis, probably the economy will be decreased. So the trends also decreased in terms of the container ships and the operating vessels too. Look at I'm sorry, it is Korean language, but the Samsung Shipbuilding Company, Daewoo Shipbuilding Company, Hyundai Shipping Company, the size of the containers are over 23,000 TEUs. So these are the main class of the under construction on the shipyard. Another shipbuilding trend, LNG engine ships, is a new growth driving force for shipbuilding industries. So due to the reduction or a strong control of the gas emission from the ships makes change to the ship engine. So LNG is a new driving force for the shipbuilding side. And also domestic shipbuilding company, government plan by 2025, Korean government will have 100 new ships, but mainly the new type of engines. 2 years ago, the German International Shipbuilding and Marine Equipment Fair, they considered the LNG tankers part of 10 global shipping companies. British Lloyd's by 2025, after 5 years later, up to 1,962 LNG propulsion ships will be expected and constructed at the time. The other trends are these liquid hydrogen engine ships. That means CO2 zero emission ship. It's now developing. It looks like these types. So clean air, zero CO2 emission ships are main issue nowadays by the IMO. So instead of the weather climate change, we are really worried about the human health because of the NOx, SOx, CO2 together with the particulate materials PM 2.5 to PM 10, etc. As I talked about that the impact at the previous lecture. And the autonomous ship is another trend. British Rolls-Royce and Finland Finferry already made a test and successfully completed. So the ship on seaside, there is no crew members over there, but the shipmaster on the shore side, looking down the screen, he controls this ship without any trouble. Why talking about the autonomous ship? The building cost is 3 times higher than the traditional shipbuilding. However, the operating cost will be 90% reduction, and also human error reduction. And we make sure the environment friend. The target is this year commercialized unscrewed ship appears. Norway, Germany, Japan, China, Korea also they take part in this type of research work together. IMO mentioned that the autonomous operation level, mass maritime autonomous surface ship, is at 4 different levels. by 2025, Master Degree 3 will be reached remote controlled ship without the seafarers on board. But the fully autonomous ship will be appeared 2030 to 2035. So nobody on the ship, but controlled by the shoreside control center. In order to it is possible, we need a lot of different systems, including navigation aid, control, communication, emergency support system, etc. But anyway, e-navigation also comes together here. So advanced and the developed country, they are preparing for this. But the underdeveloping country, they don't have enough budget to keep track on this or following this. However, within 10 years, it might appear on the market without preparing for that. Those countries who didn't prepare for this were kicked out the market. Or we have to focus on the traditional trade only. Anyway, that is the most recent trends. Our university also prepares for the autonomous surface ship system. So our training ship of university making test of that software system from Samsung. The ship side and the shore side, there should be certain communication control network. But anyway, these are the most recent trends of the new ships. What about the port development trend? Largest vessels will require terminals to provide higher service levels. The increased investment cost because of the bigger ship need bigger equipment, cargo handling equipment. So you need dredge, mooring area to make a serve of the bigger size of ships, and also cargo handling gear, crane. The reach about this size and they're getting longer and longer. That means you need a bigger crane. Then the foundation of the track of the crane will be changed, and you need the renovation to the foundation. You need a dredge of the building area, and then for the time being, you can't operate these terminals, and you will lose a chance to make a service to incoming vessels. If the ship size is bigger and bigger, the crane size is bigger, and the yard size is larger and larger, and the system is complicated. The long trolley distance, the yard traffic is the volume will be increased. At the beginning, without innovation for this, terminal productivity will be reduced or stagnated until crane replaced, and then you trained the laborers to cope with the high speed and the large amount of the cargo transport, etc. So innovation to the technology are necessary, and then still you need to keep track on the future change of the ship size. So progressive adaptation of the new ships will be improve port productivity, and the hardware, infrastructure, and manpower, software, all these should be improved in order to have a ship in the port. The other thing is the trends of the smart marine logic system development. The intelligent transport system with the support of the force industrial revolution, the trend for smart port is inevitable. However, these trends also depends on the trade and economic scale of each country. So big data, Internet of Things, nowadays the Internet of Everything, IoE, terms appears. E-navigation, autonomous ship, industry internet, and the data science and the big data analysis, cloud computing, smart port. All these are linked with future port development. Why investigate analyze the port? This is the reason to collect the basic data necessary to make a plan and design of a port. And different feasibilities, economic, social, environmental, political feasibilities. After feasibility study is passed through this feasibility, then it's moved to the port project. So to make sure feasibility is over the limit, then we need a lot of different analysis. So the trade volume becoming bigger and bigger, then the space in the port should be enlarged. But the lack of the port space, then they try to expand to the urban area. So it conflicted with the land use of industries and the land side. That causes another problem. So the proper investigation of new site is necessary. Parameters to be considered is. So we should consider the trade route, geographical location of new country, the main trunk trade route linked with your countries, whether linked or not. This is very important factors. And also, do you have enough interior transportation networks developed? If you don't have a interior transport network, then if you put some port in that side, nobody want to send cargoes to that port because of the distribution of the cargo work. It's not easy in that case. And then look at the existing adjacent port plan. One port, each port want to develop container terminals, such like that. And then under the government side, there should be the overall development of the port facilities overlapped. Then the national master plan controls over development of the port facilities. So make sure the adjacent port plan, is it overlap with your plan or not? Make sure. And the accessibility of hinterland areas of cargo production. That means product or materials, resources. Is it possible to get those resources? Depending on those resources, the port capacity can be expanded or reduced. It will be decided later. Look at this. So the seaside, land side port is connected with the local cities or local inland depot with the use of the road transportation, rail transportation, or inland waterway transportation. So there should be this type of service if you develop a port or if you expand your port. Without the strong connection, distribution of the transportation mode, it is hard to improve your own port or make an attraction to the foreign trade ships. This diagram gives you port functions. So if port area. So the incoming ship port navigation goes to the holding area, and then cargo loaded, unloaded. It goes to storage area in the port terminal area, or dock depart through the local road or railroad. It goes to hinterland or the other cities. So not just worrying about the incoming ships, but also the domestic inland transportation network should be prepared for the future increase of the world trade. So in order to have a served at New York Port, not just with the port infrastructure, but the inland transport network are also important. Why do you investigate and analyze the port? The reason why is to collect the basic data necessary to make a plan and design a port. I mentioned it before. Parameters to be considered here is trade routes, interior transportation network, design the port plan, and the hinterland. Then the problems caused by space development, the port space development, it causes some problems. The first one is destruction of some rural area close to the port. For example, the protection sanctuary area, wetland, or dune systems, or flora-fauna disturbance because of the port expansion, or relocation of some installations. Some resident community, they don't want to move some installations at their own locations. But if you want to relocate and then you want to develop a port facility over there, then the local community, they don't want to move that, and then conflict arise. It generates social conflicts. And also landscape impact due to the port facility constructions. So this will make environmentalists, NGOs, they resist to make a development, and then you cannot proceed forward because of the strong resistance. So every port development program should be discussed fully in terms of the problems caused by the port development project. By the way, there was statement of hinterland. What is hinterland? Hinterland is all maritime space which port performs commercial relationships. It includes overseas customers with which the port undertakes commercial exchanges. Let's introduce the one example, two examples actually. Kitakyushu is a Kyushu island, Shikoku, Honshu of Japan. The most west side of Japan is Kyushu Island. The northern part of Kyushu Island is Kitakyushu. Kitakyushu's hinterland is a domestic area, is a southern part of Kyushu Island, the northern western part of Shikoku Island, and the Honshu, southwest part of the Honshu area. They have lots of different industries located there, and the materials, goods, treatment are necessary in this hinterland. Not just with the domestic hinterland, Kyushu thought Korea, China is the hinterland of overseas. What about Spain, Barcelona? It's hinterland, Portugal, Spain, Portugal, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and also Italy, Switzerland, France, even Germany and Belgium, Netherlands. So depending on the hinterland, the size of the industry, then your port capacity will be changed. The strong and deep investigation on the site necessary for new port project. Why port site considerations? After analyzing the general requirement for a port, it is necessary to make preliminary site studies supplemented with the cost estimate based on assumptions that will require verification in the final analysis. The optimal choice of planning a port and selecting its site depends on a careful evaluation of the economic and financial analysis and detailed analysis of physical requirement of port site. Here, I'm not going to make an economic and financial approach, but the detail on physical analysis of port site is necessary, such as external accesses. It's a proper access to waterway and land, adequate depths, and the clearance of ship operation, and the length of transportation network, and the water area and the depth of basin and the land area. So the potential future enlargement of the basin, including the water side and the land side. At least we need about 200% of total port site capacities. Ready. The physical and topographic data. So sheltering from winds and ocean waves, natural artificial sheltering. And also there should be certain limitation of pitch length. What is pitch length? So when you develop a port, you have to give a very calm water area to the ship to give a stable and safe mooring and leaving the port. So among other factors, the ocean waves are very important. Patch length. So the development of the waves depending on the storm duration and the wind speed and the patch length. Patch length is the scale of the water basin. So if the patch length is small, then the waves will not develop pretty well, although you apply a lot of high winds over there or pretty long time duration. But if you decrease the patch length, then you will have a smaller and smaller waves in your port area. So that's why the limitation patch lengths are important. The other one is bottom, sand or shale, clay or rock. The good condition is a sand or shale for a holding ground by the anchors. But the foundation for the structure is a little bit different. But we used to recommend to have a sand bottom or shale bottom instead of rocky bottom. And there should be a minor dredging work, your port site area, and then a short dry lip. So the shoreline is going to be move around depending on erosion and then accretion. So it should be gradual slope. It should not be changed rapidly. And also upland drainage. So as possible, naturally well-drained place is good. Hydrographic and hydrological data is a water level and current. Current should not be exceed more than 4 knots. It's hard to maneuver your vessel at a very high density traffic area. for example, narrow waterway or inside the harbor area. And also fouling rate. Low fouling rate is recommended. Marine biofouling problem causes to marine structures, including buoys, navigation aid, etc. And also for the water quality, water circulation should be enhanced depending on the structure type. For example, breakwater or a mooring facility, for example, quay jetties. And the sedimentation problem causes extra maintenance dredging. Then the stabilization problems occurs depending on the sedimentation size. What about climate? Storm, fog, ice, wind should be analyzed in the port site area. Other factors are construction materials or freshwater supply. This it gives you extra expense for the construction. Anyway, about this amount, we have to consider, investigate, make analyze before deciding the port site. General form of the port site is located in delta area or along the river or natural harbor area or in a bay or protected by the other island or artificial structure, etc. The harbor type, the coastal, natural coastal, breakwater, it provides a calm water area inside the harbor. River basins, if the tidal level changes rapidly and the strong tidal range, then you need tidal gates, lock gates. Or in the open sea, if there are limitations to the water depths, then you have to extend dolphin mooring facilities away from the port area. So, in summary of the harbor site consideration, the waves, winds comes through the harbor, you have to protect by the breakwaters. And the entrance or waterway and turning basin, the water depth should be dredged enough to the safe maneuvering of the ships. And also you need a mooring facilities, berthing facilities. So all these considered before. So consider waves, current, tide, and harbor oscillation, port condition, ice condition, wind conditions, and also safe navigation channels. All weather conditions should be safe passing ability allowed over there, and then adequate room and depth to maneuver ships within settled area, and all the facilities are supplied. Strong wind, so you don't need to dredge too much. You need land or coastal area for future expansion. So that's necessity of the port site, harbor site. What are other factors for physical port harbor site? So dredging should be slowed down and reduced. Bottom conditions, and then the other shore coastal area for terminal development. The size of safe harbor, geographic, climatological, and geographical information regarding site. The other one is socio-economic factors. You have a lot of the plants, industries near the port area. And also it is easy to get water and also raw materials and the finished product goods from these industries. So at least you have a lot of volume of the cargoes there. And then you need energy, fuel, and accessibility to the port area. And then the future increase of the trade volume should be expected over there. So cargo, resources, trade volume is a very important factor of the social and economic viewpoint. Let's look at type of port. These are types of port according to size and location: a major port, intermediate port, a minor port. And depending on commodities and the use of port, grain port, oil port, or coal port, or transshipment port. It's a type of port. Summarizing all these conditions, port site selections, the important factors in selection for port site are amount of dredging should be minimized, most favorable bottom conditions, most suitable shore areas for terminal development, enough space, over 200% then considered for development of future of area, and transportation accessibility, water depths. So if the water depths are enough, then you don't need to dredge. Exposure of coast, that means the environmental impact from wind, waves, current, and the harbor orientation and layout. It's a platform layout depending on this environment impact. A port feature, the port function is a convergence of freight flow between land and ocean. Port facilities a convergence between land and transport and maritime systems by handling the largest amount of freight. You need the infrastructure to accommodate those activities. For example, storage and the distribution of cargo and people, and also administration abilities. Consequently, a basic element in the smooth operation and the development of a terminal, the port inland connections. So you should prepare inland transport, intermodal networking. The port design process follows initiate the development object and target, and field and environment analysis, finally optimum design appears. Field analysis combined with the social, environmental, economy, and the political environment also. So maximize the impact of development at the beginning of the project plan. And then it should be considered harmonized with the nature environment. If you come with the final design, we have to think sustainable development. After analyzing information and the data, a site for optimum choice of plan have been explained by giving information on the careful evaluation of the economic and financial analysis and the detailed analysis of physical requirement of the port site. It is important to be aware of the requirement. The basic criteria, as many of the planning steps, can be applied to ensure the sustainable status here. As described before, port is growing and being expanded with cities. This is the port site at the beginning, and the urban cities are small. And the the port getting bigger and bigger, the urban city also grows fastly. Then there exists the conflict between port and city in terms of space use. Because of that, a new port developed at some other site, giving city port area for a chance to renovate the urban plan. Paradigm changes to port development. For port, together with the city in post-industrial revolution era, the smart port city emerges and the smart system are being developed. So we consider smart port, but city itself working on smart city. So from future, the paradigm goes to smart port city. So we prepare for that. All right. This is the end of the second part of the lecture. Next lecture will be about port planning and development, talking about port planning procedure, port development plan, and port plan development policy. These are the final lecture at this moment. However, this is the second part of the port development and planning. So let's have a break here. Thank you very much for your attention.